Live from the Quad Cities with Morgan Otier and Kyle Keel. This is Quad Cities Live.
Today on QCL, the Cambridge Natural History Museum is unveiling a new exhibit. We'll learn more about the lives and discoveries of famous paleontologists from the museum's young curator.
Plus, celebrating the life of Elvis Presley as we near what would have been his 90th birthday. We'll learn more about the Elvis Fever Marketplace event happening in LeClaire.
And his family of 4 is now a family of 5. We'll hear more about Kyle's new baby, Sabrina Rose, and what it's been like adding a 3rd child to the mix. Thank you so much for joining us on this first live show of 2025. Yes. I'm Morgan Otier alongside Kyle Keel, and as we mentioned, Kyle is back from paternity leave, so welcome. You've been so missed. I know you came back earlier this week, but this is our first show back together,
it's our first show.
Forgive me, but we're excited.
We are excited. It's taken a bit to get back into the groove of things, but we'll get there. But we had a birth of our 3rd child back in November, November 17th, Sabrina Rose. There she is in her little pumpkin hat.
So cute.
That was the day that she was born, and she was coming out looking alive and alert. So yeah, she was born on November 17th, a little more than 6 pounds. She's doing great at home. Pretty good sleeper overall compared to my other 2 children. So we're going to talk more about her. I could talk about her for the whole hour if you wanted to.
Absolutely.
We'll keep it to just a few minutes.
We're going to see more photos. We're going to hear more stories a little bit later in the show. But right now we want to switch gears as it is a first alert day for snow, which started falling a few hours ago. And we see road conditions deteriorating already. Yeah,
especially from the Quad Cities Metro and points off to the west. We've got partially to fully covered roads, Cedar County. That's where we have some fully covered roads here right now. There's also been some tow bans out toward Johnson and Lane County and points off to the west. That's where they've had anywhere from 1 to about 3 inches of snow. Here at home, we should see around 1 inch or 2 of snow already. About 1 inch reported around Eldridge in the Davenport area. Right now, looking into downtown Davenport from Ock Island on our Everywhere camera network, we see some reduced visibility. Certainly the snowflakes flying around, kind of looks like a snow globe out there. We're also starting to see some of that snow accumulate on the grassy areas in Burlington as well at Catfish Bend Casino. So use some caution here as you're heading out and about. We've got that first alert day that is continuing here until 8 o'clock for those slick roads and reduced visibility, especially south of Highway 30. But even up toward Clinton, Maquoketa, still seeing some of that light snow activity, but most of that accumulation is likely going to be situated around that I-80 corridor and points off to the south. There we go in the Quad Cities. That's kind of a hole around the radar side, but it's still snowing there in Davenport, Eldridge, back toward Wilton, getting a moderate band of snow, and we're also seeing some of that snow coming down at a moderate pace around Galesburg up toward Aledo. So we're going to continue to see this pivot through the area, probably through the early evening hours, and then after about 6 or 7 o'clock, we're going to see that snow taper off. And behind that, it gets pretty cold. Temperatures down in the teens for overnight lows, wind chills near or below 0. Highs tomorrow only topping off in the 20s, and that is just the start of a pretty long stretch of some cold temperatures. We're also tracking a little more snow in the forecast as well, so we'll detail that coming up in just a few minutes.
Well, it had to happen at some point.
It did, yes.
And here it is. It is officially 2025, and if your goal this year is adding a furry friend to the family, there are plenty of pets in need at the Quad City Animal Welfare Center.
Yeah, Executive Director Patty McRae is joining us along with a very special friend who is up for adoption, one of many up for adoption at the shelter. Patty, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
We've got handsome boy Roy, and he is showing off today with his tie. Tell us more about Roy. He's handsome.
He really is handsome. So he's a year old, so he's actually still a puppy. He is still a baby. Yeah. We think he's a healer mix, which I can see that. Yeah. But you know, he's your Heinz 57. That's just great.
I love
mix.
that.
Yeah, great mix of a dog.
He's adorable.
Yes, he is. So we think he's just really a super sweet boy and very handsome.
Yes, he is very cute, very excited to be here. And yes, he chewed on my sleeve a little bit before we started the show, showing those puppy skills. He's really, really cute and just really friendly and sweet. There are so many different ways in this new year as well to support the Animal Welfare Center. So let's talk a little bit about those. Of course, we love to have you guys on whenever possible, but for anybody that doesn't know, there are multiple ways that you can support these animals and the staff members there. So let's start with adopting. Tell us a little bit about the adoption process at your specific shelter.
Sure. So we have a full house right now of dogs and beautiful adult cats. We have some kittens right now. We have guinea pigs. We have rabbits. So really, if you're looking for a pet, come out. We want you to come out with the family, spend some time with whatever animal you're looking for, and sit with them. Maybe take the dog out for a walk. Not today, but you know, maybe.
Hey, but if you adopt, you're gonna have to go out, right?
That's true. That is true.
Rain or shine.
But spend some time with them, and maybe even prior to that, if you're adopting a dog, do some research about the breed, like a healer. Very, very high energy, loves to go, and especially being as young as he is, he's going to want to be going, and he's going to need a family that's very active.
That wants to do that.
Yeah, when you come and see him at the shelter, he will get very excited to see you. As he did today when we all went to go meet him. So along with adopting, obviously, you know, you have a full house, so you wouldn't be anywhere without your volunteers. So you're always looking for people to volunteer.
Right, absolutely. Volunteers are so key. We really depend on them. I always call them the icing on the cake because they really make it a good stay for our animals, and they just help so much. We have a volunteer orientation. So our volunteer orientation is coming up next Wednesday. It's normally the first Wednesday of each month at 5:30. And you come and we show you around, we tell you about the opportunities, and there's so much that you can do. You know, walking dogs for one thing, helping us clean cats, reading books to the animals, and then we have events. So we have our trivia, we have different types of adoption events we do throughout the year, and we need a lot of volunteer help with that.
You know, I'm glad that you said that because I think, you know, a lot of folks think like, you know, and may want to be a volunteer and think that just involves cleaning or walking dogs and things like that, but there are so many different opportunities. I mean, just describing one of them, how great it would be to host these events, but have somebody who kind of knew what they were doing to help put these events on.
Right, absolutely.
That would be huge.
Definitely.
Okay, and let's talk, of course, about donations and how helpful that is to the staff and the cute little...
Don't scratch
There's
her.
the puppy. There's a puppy in him.
He's so cute.
He is.
He could do no wrong.
He wants to. He thinks he's a lap dog, so he definitely wants to get on your lap.
It's always
for
those bigger breeds.
Yeah, and it is really. So you know, donations are so important to us. We are a private shelter. We don't receive tax dollars. We always are needing pet food, kitty litter, leashes, collars, beds, toys, all those things that make it a nice stay for them.
Absolutely. And so a lot of people, you know, they would rather donate those specific items because it makes them feel good sometimes to pick out the toys, to pick out the blankets and the leashes and the collars and things like that. And of course, monetary donations always needed. I mean, a lot of these animals come in, they have medical problems and they just need medication and things like that. And you neuter all the animals as well.
We do. At our clinic, we do make sure all of the animals are spayed and neutered. If the dogs are positive for heartworms, we do treat them as well. And that is that's a pretty costly procedure, but we want to make sure that they're taken care of.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and even the basic needs, they can add up quickly for sure. So if you're not looking to maybe adopt a permanent furry friend, you're always looking for people to foster. Because this kind of helps keep these animals in tip-top shape so they can find an adoption. So what's the fostering process like?
Well, we want you to come to the orientation first for volunteers. And if you are interested in fostering, we'd like you to let us know that. There's another class that we have you go. It's a little more intensive than just the regular volunteering. It goes through all of the expectations and what we'll do. We give you all the supplies. We take care of all the medical. Basically, you're taking care of them and loving them for us.
And it's great because then they're still socialized and all of that when they do find their forever family.
Yeah, most definitely. So if you're interested in fostering, adopting, volunteer, you can always get in contact with the Quad City Animal Welfare Center. They're of course located in Milan along with the clinic. We have those phone numbers on your screen right now. And if you want to learn more about all those opportunities, you can visit their website, qcawc.org. You can also follow along on Facebook. Patty, as always, thank you so much, and thanks for showing us Roy.
Yes, Roy, thanks for being here. Now he's calm. Now he doesn't want to do anything. All right, well, thank you very much. Just staring at me. Coming up next on QCL, a new exhibit is on its way to the Cambridge Museum of Natural History. We'll hear more about it after the break.
You're watching Quad Cities Live.
The Lives and Discoveries of Famous Paleontologists. That's the title of a new exhibit coming to the Cambridge Museum of Natural History next weekend. And here with a preview of this exciting new edition is the museum's curator, Anderson Taylor. Anderson, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for letting me come here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, welcome back. We had you on the show not super long ago when the museum first opened its doors. So tell us a little bit about the museum itself and just kind of the work that you put in to get it to happen and to get those doors open.
Well, it all started when I went to Scotland and I went to the Stafford Museum. It was not much bigger than this room. Actually, it was a lot smaller.
Really?
And it was just like this tiny cottage with some cool fossils. And I mean, that's basically how I wanted to open my museum.
Yeah. You kind of realized that you don't need to have a big giant space to, bring really cool artifacts to people that want to see them.
Yeah. I mean, when I first got my fossil, like my museum started, it wasn't actually in the building it is now because, we didn't have it open at that point, but we were planning to have it in a smaller museum, and it was just, weird because somebody rented out the building. So I had to get a new building, but that building was actually bigger.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. So remind everybody of how old you are again.
10.
You are 10 years old. Amazing. Tell us a little bit about where your passion for paleontology comes from, your passion for fossils.
Well, it's just the variety of how many there are and like how cool they are.
We brought some today as well, so kind of describe what you brought.
So this right here is a replica skull of a Cryolophosaurus. Now you can actually see the replica of this replica at the Fryxell Museum at Augustana College, which is pretty close.
Yeah, that's pretty close and pretty cool. So is this something that we can see when we visit your museum?
Well, it'll be in our new exhibit.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, and that's kind of what you're here to talk about today.
Yes.
Very cool, an upcoming paleontology exhibit, and it's going to be next weekend that you are unveiling this to the public. So how did this new exhibit come about, and how did you put all that together?
So it all started last year when I was applying for a micro grant from Illinois Humanities. I didn't get it that year, but they told me to try it again next year. So when I did it this year, or last year, I decided, since last year I wasn't so much focusing on who discovered the fossils, I probably should do it this year.
Okay, that's smart.
So I did a famous paleontologist and what they discovered.
I love that. Very cool. And now, is this also one of the items that so describe this as we hold that up for folks? What is this?
This is a infant of an ichthyosaur, and it's a cast of them.
So it's a baby, what did you call it, ichthyosaur?
Yes, and it means fish lizard.
Fish lizard. I mean, that is super cool. And this is just, two of the items that you're going to have. You're kicking things off next Saturday with a presentation. So as people kind of file in, I believe you guys are opening the doors at noon, and then you'll hold your presentation at 1. So what are some of the things that you're going to be talking about in that presentation?
Well, I'm going to be talking about the paleontologists mainly, and also what they found.
Okay, very cool. So who are some of the paleontologists that we're going to be hearing about?
Well, I'll list them in how new they are.
Okay.
Dean Lomax, who discovered the Rutland sea dragon.
Okay.
Francis Tully, who discovered the Tully monster.
The Tully monster. And I think that so there's a photo of Francis Tully and the Tully monster that he's holding. I think you brought us an example of that the first time you were here. So that is the state fossil for Illinois.
Yeah.
That is super cool. Okay, so who else are we going to hear about?
Dr. William Hammer, who discovered the Cryolophosaurus.
Okay, which you brought for us today.
Yep.
And he has ties to our area, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. A professor at Augustana, which is why I think you mentioned that you can find this at Augustana.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. And another one that a lot of people may have heard of before, Barnum Brown.
Yep.
Why have we heard of him?
Because he discovered the T-Rex.
He discovered the T-Rex. That's, you know, a lot of people's faves is the T-Rex. And there's a photo that Anderson provided for us as well that he's going to be talking about. So you're going to be giving a presentation on all of this. And then what kinds of items can we expect to see as part of the exhibit? Will we be seeing more than these 2 items here?
Yeah, so we have a replica of Sue the T-Rex's tooth.
Wow.
I mean, that one's huge. It's about that big.
T-Rex sized.
Yeah. But most of it's actually its root, but like of the tooth. But also, we're going to be having, hopefully, if this arrives on time, we have a model of a toy monster, which we'll put up. And there's also a mosasaur. It's a pretty long model that we have.
Yeah.
And it's one of our coolest ones because of how well they whoever did it made it.
Great, that's awesome. Lots to look forward to, you know, at this opening of this exhibit. And again, you opened your doors at the initial museum just back in August. What have people been saying? What has the response been like? They're probably just excited to have that opportunity to have a museum like yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, very excited.
Yeah.
A lot of community support. Very cool. Well, you just had the information on your screen. There's a presentation and the exhibit. It's set for Saturday, January 11th, not this weekend, next weekend. It is free. It is open to the public. Anybody, all ages, they're welcome to attend and come hear from Anderson. Doors open at noon. The presentation starts at 1. And that museum is located on West Center Street in Cambridge, Illinois. As always, Anderson, thank you so much for coming on and just spreading some knowledge today.
Yep.
We really appreciate it. Yes, thank you. Well, still to come on QCL, celebrating what would have been Elvis Presley's 90th birthday with a one-day only Elvis Fever Marketplace event. That's coming up.
You're watching Quad Cities Live.
You ain't nothing but
Well, you can't miss him. I mean, that's Elvis Presley, of course, performing on the Ed Sullivan Show back in 1956. It was October. Presley was born on January 8th, 1935, nearly 90 years ago. And if you're still all shook up about the king of rock and roll, you don't want to miss this weekend's Elvis Fever event happening in LeClaire. Wayne Wally is from the popular shop along Cody Road called Aunt Hattie's, and he's back with us today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me on, Morgan.
Absolutely. Kind of a little bit different of a topic here today because Aunt Hattie's is actually hosting this really cool one-day only marketplace event. It's not at Aunt Hattie's, the store, because you have so much stuff.
It's in the same building, and so we had an area at 110 South Cody Road
where we
could put all this on display where people can actually see it and enjoy it.
See it and enjoy it. Okay, so tell us a little bit about where this idea came from for an Elvis Fever event.
Well, this is a little bit of a bittersweet moment for me to do this because it's something I've thought about doing. But my mother, she was a huge Elvis Presley fan, went to concerts in Lake Tahoe all the time in the 1970s. She'd go for 3 days, see 2 shows a night, tip the maitre d'. She was in the front row. She'd get scarves. She'd come back with all these fun programs. I mean, we've got one of her concert tickets here from when it was at the Sierra Tahoe.
That is amazing. Viola. Okay,
Viola,
so her name is Viola. You call her Vi. I heard your wife calling her Vi. Really incredible what she has been able to see.
And it's like this is, again, the program you get with a whole menu of what you were going to get when you went to see Elvis in concert. But he would do 2 shows a night, and like I say, she would tip the maitre d' and be up there right in the front row.
If only we could still really get away with that. Wouldn't that, you'd really have to tip a lot these days. Yeah, that's really incredible. So that's kind of how you amassed most list of the Elvis memorabilia and beyond memorabilia, just really cool stuff that your mom was able to collect over the years.
Exactly. She collected. We would always be buying her different gifts and all that. And even after we've moved to different places, I've lived in New York, lived in the Chicago area, whenever I'd see something that had to do with Elvis, I'd go see it. I had the honor of, when I was reporting for an Australian magazine, of going to Graceland when it first opened in 1982 and got to have a tour of Graceland with Priscilla Presley. Took a bunch of pictures, sent them all to my mom. She was thrilled to death. I was trying to talk her into going there, but she would not get on an airplane. Not even for going to Graceland.
That's where the buck stops, apparently. I mean,
exactly.
Because she traveled all over to see Elvis Presley. And you were just telling me a story about how she did try and get in the front row. Before we did this segment, you were telling me this story, and that he would hand out and toss scarves into the audience.
If you ever see some of the concert footage of Elvis in concert, you'll see somebody sort of following him and giving him scarves that he'd wrap around his neck, and then he would hand it out to all the people in the front row. So I know my mom had several of these. She gave them to certain friends and certain Elvis fans that she knew. A few of them went to other relatives of mine after she passed, and I still have 2 of them.
That is so
Two of them
cool.
you might be able to see them on Saturday. I'm not necessarily ready to sell those yet. A little bit of sentimental value.
Absolutely.
But a lot of these other things, I think it's time for other people to have the chance to enjoy them.
Yeah, and I agree. And you know what? Some of these items as well, they're like untouched. So it's not like, you know, these larger boxes of this memorabilia, these really cool things that were sold. I mean, the boxes, when you open them, it's like a brand new item. I mean, she didn't take that stuff out.
She did not ever use the Elvis phone, but it was in the box, knew she had to have one. Same with the cookie jar. It's been kind of cool stuff. And some of the things I found as I went through this, it's like this thing where it was decide which Elvis is King stamp was going to be done.
Yeah,
which was kind of wild. And there was even a postcard for people to send in where you got to choose which one you wanted, and obviously this is the one that people chose, and that's the winner. So I have a lot of these things again on display, and some of this will be for sale on Saturday from 10 to 4.
Yeah, people were able to vote on this stuff. Really amazing. And there's one other thing that I want to hold up as well, so bear with me. I'm going to keep the stamps here, but I want I want to hold this one up as well. So tell everybody what this one is here.
This one says it's Elvis's sweat. I doubt it really is, but it's one of those funny things that we found, and of course my mom got a big kick out of that when that was one of her birthday gifts one year. But again, rummaging through everything that I had in all these boxes that hasn't seen the light of day for 10 or 20 years, I found this and brought a good smile to my face.
Well, there it is, folks. I mean, Elvis's sweat in a little vial, and this has never been opened. So, I mean, even if it's not real, what a cool piece of memorabilia to have.
It really is.
You know, as people, you know, you hope that they don't ever start to forget, you know, what a big moment in time this was. And I think this was way before my time. I mean, that video that we showed in 1956 was 2 months before my mother was even born.
Oh my gosh.
But like, I know so much about Elvis Presley, and you just kind of hope that people don't lose that part of our history.
Well, the other thing I found throughout, obviously I have a lot of albums. My mom probably bought every album that ever came out. I know there's 200, 300, 400, I don't know how many, because there's all these compilations that came out after he passed away with his gold records and all that. But gosh, Elvis was in about 30 movies, so there's 30 different soundtracks. There's all these different concert albums, a whole wide variety of things. I know I've got more than 200 that'll be out there on Saturday for people to look at. Some of them rare, some of them not so rare. Christmas albums, I've got several copies of each one, and that was his most biggest selling album ever, was one of the Christmas albums.
Yeah, very popular.
So it's some fun stuff that people will be able to go through, and plus Elvis was also in so many magazines, and my mom had all sorts of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I was surprised to find it. I mean, one of these I have here is Hollywood Rebels, and I believe the cover price was 25 cents, so you know that was a long time ago.
And they're just in really great condition. Really, really cool stuff that people are going to be able to come and check out. There's going to be snacks that you're serving as well, a barbecue, samples of barbecue pizza, an Elvis favorite, and the Elvis sandwich, peanut butter, banana, and crispy bacon.
Yes, exactly.
I have had peanut butter and bacon before. I will say it's not bad at all. And I can only imagine that people will come near and far to come and see these items. It's going to be a really incredible.
Yeah, I love to have the chance, like I say, to have this on display, have a good memory of my mom and her stuff, and hopefully people can come out and enjoy it. And if you find a treasure you need to have, we'll be ready to sell.
That's great. Well, here's all the info for everybody on your screen. It is happening this Saturday, just a couple of days, January 4th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It is hosted again by Aunt Hattie's, but the location is just down the road at Pickers Paradise Indoor Flea Market. There's going to be so much on display, well beyond what you've even been able to see on the show today. Wayne, as always, thank you so much for bringing all of this in.
Thank you, Morgan.
Really
it's been fun, and like I say, I'm looking forward to Saturday, so please come on out and visit us.
Absolutely. Okay, well, much more to come in our next half hour, including an introduction to the Quad Cities Baby New Year, the first born in our area in 2025. There's a little peek. And speaking of new babies, our Kyle Keel is back on QCL after welcoming a bundle of joy to his family. We'll hear some stories and take a look at some family photos. But before Kyle talks about baby, he talks about weather. We are seeing some snowfall today with potential for more in our future. Your First Alert forecast is next.
And now your First Alert forecast with meteorologist Kyle Keel.
Well, it is a First Alert day for that snow that's moving through. You look outside your window and it looks like a snow globe out there, and it's causing a few hazards on the roadways with some partially covered roads right now. Fortunately, we don't see any pink on the map, which would indicate fully covered roads, but still, there's going to be a few slick spots here heading into the evening hours. There's your snow globe in Bettendorf right now from our Everywhere Camera Network. You can see certainly a little bit of accumulation. We've had some amounts in the metro area right around an inch, and could see another ½ inch to 1 inch out of this as well. We'll have to watch for maybe a little refreezing a little bit later tonight, because right now temperatures are pretty close to that freezing mark, upper 20s to lower 30s, but we're falling quickly back into the teens heading into the overnight hours. Our Everywhere Camera Network across the region shows dry conditions in Dubuque. So Dubuque, Galena, seeing little to no snow, maybe even a couple of flurries at best. But Burlington, you're looking like a snow globe as well. Rock Island, visibility is reduced as we're looking across the Mississippi River into Davenport. So that First Alert day will continue over the next several hours until about 8 o'clock for those slick roads along with the reduced visibility. Again, it's areas south of Highway 30 that have had that moderate impact here throughout the day today. So there's First Alert Live Doppler radar. Big cutoff here to the north. Again, southern portions of Daviess County getting south of Highway 20, south of Stockton. We have a little bit of light snow. Maquoketa, Preston, you're getting a little light snow as well. Same can be said over into portions of Carroll County, Savannah, Chadwick, Thompson, Mount Carroll, seeing some of that light snow. Some moderate snow here as you head right around Cordova down to the south into the Quad Cities Metro. Muscatine seeing some of that moderate snow as well. And we're seeing some scattered moderate snow bands here to the south around Monmouth, Roseville, even over toward Galesburg. So if your travels take you to the south, there could be a few slick spots as well, although road conditions right now are being reported as seasonal. So this clipper is going to continue to track to the east, taking that snow with it, and very quickly on its heels we're going to have high pressure settle in from Canada, and that means it's going to get cold. There's your teens here as we head into the overnight hours. And notice here tomorrow, yeah, we'll see some sunshine, but don't let it fool you, it's still going to be chilly. Temperatures only make it to the 20s. That's just the start of a very chilly period of weather here in eastern Iowa and western Illinois. So ExactTrack is going to show that snow moving off to the east between about 4 and 7 o'clock, let's say. And then very quickly behind that, we'll see that clearing sky with that northwest wind ushering in those cooler temperatures. There could be a few scattered clouds here heading into Friday, but a lot of us are going to see some sunshine. We'll widen the view of ExactTrack to show you our next incoming storm, which right now the energy associated with that is in portions of the Pacific Ocean. So once that moves on shore here over the next 24 hours or so, it's going to be sampled by our weather balloon network, so we'll get better data into our models. But right now, we've been talking about this the last couple of days. The trends have been for the southern half of the TV6 viewing area to get in on any accumulating snow, with the heaviest snow falling to the south, and that is what our in-house model is latching onto. Notice this pink shading. This is going to be areas of some freezing rain, even a wintry mix. So already we've got winter storm watches that are out from late Saturday through early Monday to account for all sorts of different wintry weather. But it's this axis right here where we're likely going to see some heavy snow. And I would be surprised maybe tomorrow that we start to get a few more up toward that Highway 34 corridor where we could see several inches of snowfall. Here's a wider view, or I should say a different view of some of that snow. You can see Model 1 has that snow up to the I-80 corridor. Model number 2 has it a little farther north. So I think the trend is to be south of I-80 for that accumulating snow. So we're going to continue to watch these trends over the next couple of days. Again, Sunday's still several days away. So not putting out any specific numbers yet on on the amount of snow. I know you might have seen some crazy numbers on social media, but stick with the First Alert Weather Team. We're going to continue to track this system. And of course, Chief Meteorologist Eric Maitland will have the full update on that 7-day forecast, which includes more cold, coming up on your news at 4. So Morgan, we're going to be walking out to a winter wonderland after the show.
You know what? It had been like a few hours since I'd been outside, and looking at that sky view, it looks completely different. I was going to run errands after work. I'm going straight home.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. I think I'll do the same. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
If only we could hibernate, right?
Oh, I know, but you know what? Consider us lucky. I mean, we haven't officially gotten an inch of snow at the Quad Cities International Airport out of one system all season long, so I think we're about due now that we're into January.
And some people love it. You know?
They do,
And this is their time. So
it is their time.
Let them shine.
We still got a lot of winter to go, too.
We do. All right, Kyle, thank you.
You're welcome.
Coming up on QCL, Kyle is not the only one ringing in the new year with a new baby. We'll meet the first baby born in the Quad Cities in 2025.
You're watching Quad Cities Live.
Clocking in now at just over 24 hours old, Mercy One Genesis in Davenport welcomed the first baby of 2025. It's a girl. Her name is Royalty Ann Newell. She was born at 3:10 a.m. on New Year's Day. She's 6 pounds, 6 ounces, and 18 inches long. Royalty's mother is Tasia Newell from Davenport, and she says she is so happy to be a first-time mother.
I mean, I've been tired lately, but that's nothing new. I was up for a whole day in pain, ready for her to come, so I was happy. I was in tears. I was smiling.
A lot of that sounds familiar. Hospital staff said a total of 5 babies, including Royalty, were born as of 1:30 yesterday afternoon. Well, every year about this time, we ask the TV6 staff to pick their favorite stories from the past year. And today, we're taking a look at sports director Joey Danya's choice for 2024, which marks 50 years of the Big 7 road race.
The Big 7 road race had humble beginnings.
We got like a little news memo saying that we're starting a new race in downtown Davenport called the Big 7.
Only 84 runners took part in the first race.
No one was quite sure where it started, and so I drove around downtown Davenport for about half hour, and then I saw a bunch of guys on the corner of I think 3rd and Perry, and I said, well, this looks like the start of something.
It was the start of something bigger than anyone could have envisioned.
Never in my wildest dreams imagined 20,000 people on this course.
John Hudetz loved running before it was popular.
There weren't a lot of runners back in the 1970s.
In 1974, Hudetz ran the Boston Marathon.
I wanted to bring it back to the Quad Cities. I was living in DeWitt at the time, and it was so frequent back then. If you're out jogging along a highway, people are stopping constantly and convinced there's an emergency and you need a ride somewhere.
50 years later, the race that began with 84 participants is celebrating an anniversary few races have ever achieved.
The BIX race is really the Quad Cities homecoming. It's become an event that families are tied to from generation to generation.
From the banks of the Mississippi River in beautiful downtown Davenport, this is the 7th annual Big 7 road race. In fact, it's kind of a race within a race, as we have world-renowned Bill Rogers and Frank Shorter going head-to-head, along with over 3,000 other top runners.
It's been just a wonderful story, you know, from those humble beginnings to all of the people, not only the runners, but there are so many stories about the people who help make this happen, the volunteers.
In Davenport,
it takes this whole community to make it happen, and that's the beauty of it.
Joey Danya, TV6 News.
And we want to look ahead now. TV6 is partnering with a group called People Uniting Neighbors and Churches, or QC Punch, along with the Friends of Martin Luther King Center, to host our annual Blessing Box Drive. You can drive up to our station at 805 Brady Street in Davenport with donations of personal hygiene supplies, cleaning supplies, and laundry products. The donation drive is set for Martin Luther King Day, which is Monday, January 20th from 8 a.m. till 5 p.m. And for more information, you can scan that QR code that's on your screen or just visit our website. Up next, we're celebrating the return of meteorologist Kyle Keel to Quad Cities Live. We'll hear more about his newly expanded family after the break.
All right, we still have that light to moderate snow moving through the TV6 viewing area. If you're watching from Maquoketa, Stockton, even Savannah, Galena, you're not seeing much of anything. And overall, it's a low to moderate impact here with 1 to maybe up to 2 inches by the time all is said and done. But between about now and 7 o'clock, we'll see that snow wind down from west to east. After that, we'll start to see a clear sky overnight. Temps down to the teens. Wind chills, that's that bottom number you see there. Those are going to be near or below 0 tomorrow morning. We'll see the sun return tomorrow, but it's going to be deceiving as we get those temperatures only to raise into the 20s. And then Eric Maitland's going to be back at 4 to talk more about the cold and, yes, the possibility of more snow here as we start the new year.
Bundle up.
Yeah.
Here we go. January is usually like
yes,
this, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, welcome back to Quad Cities Live, and it is finally time to catch up with our friend Kyle, who is back after 6 very special weeks at home with his newly expanded family. We're so excited to hear about everybody. And my Scorpio sister, Sabrina Rose.
Yes, Sabrina Rose.
November 17th.
Yes.
She was born. So tell us all about how everyone's doing.
Yeah, everyone's doing great. Sabrina was born at 6 pounds, 12 ounces. She was actually a little smaller than what the doctors were telling us. So she's a little peanut. And there's Carson and Chandler, big brother, big sister at the hospital. Great staff at the University of Iowa. She was born at 6:59 on the 17th. And it's so funny because we went in about, I think it was like 7:30 that morning. And our nurse all day, she was like, okay, you have to have this baby by the time I leave at 7 o'clock because I need to find out if it's a boy or a girl. Because
that's right. It was a surprise.
Yeah, it was a surprise. And so at 6:59, that is when she was born. right 1 minute before the nurse was supposed to leave.
I love a story like that.
Yeah, so it was very special. But yeah,
I met 3 different nurses.
Oh, did you?
That says anything about me.
Yeah, everything happened very quickly. But you know, when it was time. When push came to shove, if that's an appropriate analogy. The dad jokes here, I got them.
You're on it,
yeah. Everyone's doing great. You know, the adjustment to 3, you know, I shared with you, I was a little nervous about, even with my wife, I was nervous about it, but it just works.
Yeah.
You know, like we found a way for it to work, and it's been fantastic. We got family photos done earlier this week.
These are so good.
And yeah, there they are, Carson and Chandler, those little smiles right there.
They're so cute.
Yeah, oh God, they are.
How are they like loving being a big brother, big sister? I mean, Carson, you know, has already been a big brother.
Carson already was, yeah, and he loves it, you know, just the same as he did when Chandler came, and Chandler loves it as well. She keeps saying, I'm a big sissy now. I'm a big sissy now.
So cute.
They're so helpful with her. They love cuddling her, giving her little kisses as Carson's doing right there. There we are at Christmas, had the little paternity beard going on as well.
When she was first born, like I immediately was like, she looks just like Carson. She looks just like Big Brother. I'm now like the most recent photos. I'm seeing Rosalie.
Yes, she definitely resembles her mom, but. We agree with that. Like anytime we look at her, we're like, this is like a Carson 2.0.
Like the angle,
Yeah, and when she first was born, she looked like me. I have a newborn photo up at my parents' house, and I mean, I was looking at that photo.
Image.
So,
that is so
this is my favorite right here. She's on my chest. When she snuggles up on my chest,
she's got that. I can see that new baby smell from here. Like just so sweet. And I mean, I think that's adorable. These photos that you got taken. Did you post them yet on your?
I have not. I have not. No.
Look at her.
But look at her. She's a little doll. She's got the blue eyes right now. So we're.
Look at that little smile.
Oh, I know. This was taken either yesterday. It was the day before because Rosalie texted me while I was at work. she's been giving us those
cute
smiles just unexpectedly. Like, we're not prompting her. She's just smiling at whatever we're doing.
When Darbs was that little, like somebody, you know, they used to be like, oh, it's just gas. And I'm like, I refuse to believe that she's not having a great time right now. And she's smiling because she wants to. And I think we just need to take a little time just to talk about the fact that I was right, that she is a girl.
Yes, yes. Morgan told me from the very start, I just have a feeling it's a girl. And that's what my wife thought too. So you women have your motherly instincts, I suppose. But,
we do.
But yeah, she is just a joy to have. I feel very blessed with the 3 kids I had.
You are.
I didn't expect that I was going to be a father of 3. But you know, when we had Carson, we just felt like parenting was
your thing.
what we were meant to do. And oh, I'm going to get emotional. They're just.
That is so sweet. I love it. They are the best. You have the sweetest possible kids.
Yes.
And the most wonderful wife. And I want to just ask you, how's Mama doing? I mean, not only through the birth, but, you know, she's obviously got to go back to work soon.
She does,
How's everything going with her?
Yeah, she's doing really well. She's, you know...
It's a tough
it's an
thing
adjustment.
for a woman to have.
Yeah, and you know, it was a lot different than the first 2 births, but you know, she's doing great. She feels great, and yeah, she's getting ready to go back to work, and that's another hurdle. You know, they say it takes like what 17 days to get into a habit. I got into the habit of being home with those kids every single day. So this week has been an adjustment. I think next week will be too. So just bear with me if I'm feeling a little off.
You're doing great.
Yes,
it is very tough, you know, to have all that kid and family time and then come back. But we are super happy to have you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing all of this about your family with us. We want to talk a little bit about what's coming up tomorrow on Quad Cities Live. This month marks 2 years as a brick and mortar business for Quartz Botanicals in East Moline. We're getting details on their new larger location and upcoming plant giveaway event.
And we're also going to be talking about a portion of the historic Hallberg Estate that's now available for vacation rental. We'll learn more about the 2,400 square foot space called Andrews Place and get the history behind the name. That and much more tomorrow when you join us for Quad Cities Live.
All right, and thank you so much for watching.
Your News at 4 with Sharon coming up next. Have a great day.